Waking up early is not about productivity hacks or proving something to the world. It is about choosing yourself before distractions arrive, before noise takes over your mind. When you rise while others are still asleep, you meet your thoughts in their raw form. There is no applause, no validation, just a quiet decision to do what must be done. Saying less comes from the same place. Not every thought needs to be spoken, not every plan needs approval. Silence protects your energy. It keeps your focus sharp and your intentions clean. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you begin to hear your own inner voice more clearly, and that voice knows exactly where you need to go. Training hard and staying unknown is where real transformation happens. Effort done in private builds a different kind of strength, one that does not depend on attention or praise. You show up day after day, not because anyone is watching, but because you respect the promise you made to yourself. Staying unknown keeps ego out of the process. It allows discipline to grow without performance, without comparison, without pressure. Progress becomes honest, slow, and unshakable. This is the path of people who are serious about their lives. They do not chase recognition. They chase mastery. And when results finally speak, they speak louder than any announcement ever could. Most people wake up late and feel the urge to announce their plans as if saying them out loud will make them real. The Stoics chose a different path. They understood that real power does not need noise, approval, or constant explanation. Waking up early is not about being ahead of others, but about gaining time with yourself, where the mind is clear and distractions are few. Speaking less is not weakness, it is control. Every word you hold back is energy saved, every unnecessary explanation avoided is focus protected. In that quiet space, discipline grows stronger because it is no longer dependent on attention. Training hard completes this inner framework. Physical effort teaches the mind how to endure discomfort without complaint, how to stay present when things become difficult. Staying unknown protects that effort from ego and comparison. Freedom comes when your actions are no longer shaped by how they will be perceived. This is not motivation meant to excite you for a moment. It is a way of life rooted in self-mastery, where consistency replaces hype, silence replaces validation, and inner strength becomes the true measure of power. Waking up early is not just about being productive or following a routine that looks impressive from the outside. It is about winning the first and most important battle of the day, the battle between comfort and commitment. When the alarm goes off and no one is watching, you are faced with a simple choice. Return to ease or step into discipline. The Stoics understood that these small, private choices shape character more than any public achievement. In the early hours, the world is quiet, free from opinions, comparisons, and expectations. This silence is not empty, it is honest. It gives you space to observe your thoughts without distraction and to begin the day with intention instead of reaction. The Stoics valued early mornings because silence sharpens self-awareness. Without noise, the mind reveals its true patterns, its fears, its excuses, and its strengths. There is no crowd to perform for, no one to impress, and no validation to chase. This is where real discipline is built. Early mornings teach patience, restraint, and focus without saying a single word. They train you to act without needing encouragement and to move forward even when motivation is absent. Over time, this quiet consistency builds a deep sense of inner control, the kind that does not depend on mood or circumstance. When you learn to control your morning, you begin to control your life in subtle but powerful ways. Decisions become less emotional and more deliberate. You stop rushing, because you are no longer starting the day behind. You carry the calm of the morning into your work, your conversations, and your challenges. Life still brings pressure and difficulty, but you meet it with a steadier mind. This is not about waking up early to feel superior to others. It is about mastering yourself when no one is watching. And that self-mastery, practiced daily in silence, slowly becomes the foundation of a strong and disciplined life. Saying less is not a sign of weakness or insecurity, it is a quiet form of strength rooted in self-control. Stoic philosophy teaches that every unnecessary word drains energy and scatters focus. Most people speak to fill silence, to gain approval, or to protect their ego from feeling small or misunderstood. In doing so, they give away their power. The disciplined mind does the opposite. It pauses before speaking and chooses words with intention, understanding that not every thought deserves a voice and not every situation requires a response. Silence creates space for observation, and observation is where awareness begins. When you speak less, you notice more. You read tone, body language, and intention. You understand people without them having to explain themselves. The Stoics believe that reacting less allows reason to lead, not emotion. By holding your words, you gain control over impulsive reactions and avoid conflicts that drain your energy. This restraint is not passive, it is active discipline, practiced moment by moment. Over time, this habit reshapes the mind. Silence becomes a tool rather than an absence. You stop wasting energy on proving your worth and start directing it toward growth and understanding. Wisdom does not come from saying more, but from seeing clearly. When words are used sparingly, they carry weight. And when silence is chosen deliberately, it becomes a source of clarity, authority, and inner power. Training hard is never just about shaping the body or building physical strength. It is a direct way of training the mind to endure discomfort without escaping from it. The Stoics believed that hardship was not something to avoid, but something to learn from. Voluntary struggle builds resilience because it prepares you for unavoidable challenges in life. When you choose to push your body, you are also teaching your mind that discomfort is temporary and controllable, not something that must be feared or resisted. Physical training creates a controlled environment for pressure. Each repetition, each moment of fatigue, forces the mind to choose between quitting and continuing. This is where calm is developed. Instead of reacting emotionally to pain, you learn to breathe through it, to stay present, and to move forward with discipline. Sweat is honest because it cannot be faked, and pain does not lie because it reveals your limits clearly. There are no shortcuts here, only effort and consistency. Strength earned through struggle stays with you because it is built, not borrowed. It changes how you respond to stress, how you carry yourself, and how you face difficulty outside the gym. You become harder to break, not because life becomes easier, but because you have trained yourself to remain steady when things get uncomfortable. This is the deeper purpose of training hard. It is not about appearance or praise, but about forging a mind that can endure, adapt, and remain composed under pressure. Staying unknown is not about hiding from the world, but about protecting your focus from unnecessary influence. When you chase attention, your actions slowly begin to depend on applause, and discipline turns into performance. The Stoics warned against living for external validation because it places your sense of worth in the hands of others. Once approval becomes the goal, focus weakens and direction becomes unstable. By keeping your plans private, you remove pressure, comparison, and interference. Progress becomes cleaner, driven by purpose rather than perception. When nobody knows your plans, nobody can distract your progress. There are no expectations to meet, no opinions to manage, and no need to prove anything before results exist. Quiet growth allows you to make mistakes, adjust, and evolve without noise. The mind stays sharp because it is not split between improvement and image. This is where consistency thrives, in the absence of attention, where effort is repeated simply because it must be done. Quiet growth is dangerous growth because it is underestimated. It builds silently, layer by layer, without announcing itself. There is no warning, no buildup of hype, just steady accumulation of skill, strength, and clarity. When results finally appear, they feel sudden to others, but they were earned slowly in private. This is the Stoic way: move without noise, grow without permission, and let your actions speak when the time is right. Most people crave recognition before they have earned results. They want applause at the starting line, not at the finish. Stoicism teaches the opposite approach: work first, speak later. When you allow results to speak instead of your mouth, discipline becomes your language. There is no need to announce effort or explain your struggles. Quiet consistency builds a foundation that does not rely on opinions, because it is rooted in action, not approval. When your life improves silently, confidence forms in a different way. It is not loud or defensive, because it does not need protection. It comes from knowing what you can endure, what you can control, and what you have built without shortcuts. This kind of confidence is unshakable because it is internal. It does not rise or fall with praise or criticism. You stop measuring yourself by how others see you and start measuring yourself by your own standards, your own discipline, and your own progress. This shift changes everything. Energy once wasted on proving yourself is redirected into becoming better. You move with clarity, patience, and purpose. Stoicism is not about appearing strong, but about being strong when no one is watching. And when results finally arrive, they do not need explanation. They carry the quiet weight of discipline, earned over time, and impossible to fake. Early mornings, silent effort, and relentless training are not simply habits, they are deliberate acts of self-mastery that build an authority within you that no one can take away. When you rise before the world awakens, you claim control over the first hours of your day, free from distractions, opinions, and noise. In that quiet space, action is guided solely by intention, not by expectation or approval. The discipline cultivated in these hours is different, it is steady, unshakable, and internal. You no longer need the cheer of others to keep moving forward because you have learned to trust yourself, to rely on your own commitment, and to follow through even when it is difficult. Silent effort teaches the mind to value substance over appearance. Most people work to be seen, they perform to gain recognition or praise. Stoic strength is the opposite. You work because it must be done, not because someone will notice. Every drop of sweat, every repetition, every early hour spent alone compounds into resilience, focus, and control. In the absence of applause, the mind learns patience, the body learns endurance, and character is forged. This is a discipline that cannot be faked and cannot be stolen. It grows quietly, steadily, and relentlessly, producing results that speak louder than words ever could. Over time, this combination of early rising, quiet effort, and hard training creates a life guided by principle rather than impulse. You stop seeking motivation from fleeting emotions or external validation because your internal compass has been strengthened. Doing what must be done, even when no one is watching, becomes second nature. This is the essence of Stoic strength, power born from consistency, freedom cultivated through self-control, and confidence built in silence. The world may remain unaware of your struggle, but your life quietly transforms, proving that true mastery is invisible, yet undeniable. The Stoics understood that suffering loses its grip when it is willingly embraced rather than imposed upon you. Choosing discomfort transforms it from a burden into a teacher. When you wake up early by choice, you meet the day on your own terms, before distractions and opinions can claim your energy. When you train hard by choice, every ache and fatigue becomes a tool to strengthen not just the body, but the mind. When you speak less by choice, silence becomes a shield that preserves focus and energy. Pain, once resisted, now becomes power, an ally in shaping character rather than an enemy to avoid. Discipline is the structure that channels this chosen effort. Without it, chaos seeps in, scattering focus and eroding purpose. Each deliberate action, taken consistently, builds a framework that the mind can rely on. Structure removes doubt because it creates predictable pathways through uncertainty, allowing the individual to act with confidence even when the outcome is unknown. The more you cultivate routine and deliberate choices, the less your life is dictated by impulse or circumstance. The Stoics taught that mastery over self begins with mastering the small, deliberate actions that form each day. Consistency is the final piece, the silent force that turns effort into transformation. Fear diminishes when you know you can endure, when you have repeatedly proven to yourself that hardship is temporary and manageable. The quiet accumulation of deliberate choices builds resilience that cannot be shaken by external events. Suffering, once feared, becomes a source of growth, and the mind gains an unshakable steadiness. By choosing each challenge rather than fleeing from it, you turn every obstacle into an opportunity, every struggle into a lesson, and every day into a step toward lasting strength and freedom. Staying unknown is not just about avoiding attention, it is about protecting your humility. The louder the ego grows, the more it demands recognition, praise, and comparison. Wisdom, on the other hand, is quiet. It observes, adapts, and moves without need for validation. By staying unknown, you create space for this quiet growth. You no longer measure your progress against others, and the constant pull of competition begins to fade. Your energy is no longer scattered on trying to impress or outperform anyone, it is reserved entirely for your own development. When you focus on your own path, the distractions of comparison lose their power. Social pressures, envy, and the urge to compete for attention no longer dictate your choices. Instead, every step is deliberate, every action aligned with your own standards and goals. The mind becomes clear, and decisions are made from purpose rather than desire for approval. This focus allows for growth that is deep, consistent, and unshakable, because it is nurtured in solitude and guided by principle, not by applause. Mastering yourself is the only race that truly matters. External achievements are temporary and often hollow if your inner world is chaotic. Stoics recognize that self-mastery, the ability to control impulses, endure discomfort, and act with integrity, is the foundation for lasting success and peace. When you stop chasing recognition and start perfecting your own character, every effort gains meaning, you learn to move steadily, to rise silently, and to grow invisibly, knowing that true strength is measured not by who notice you, but by who you are becoming in private. This lifestyle is rarely chosen because it is uncomfortable. It demands sacrifice, patience, and relentless self-control, qualities that most people instinctively avoid. Society often celebrates ease, instant gratification, and visible success, but the Stoics understood that true growth is forged in resistance, not convenience. Every early morning, every moment of silent effort, every struggle endured without applause is a brick in the foundation of character. It is in these moments, when quitting feels far easier than continuing, that real strength is built. The pursuit of comfort is a slow erosion of potential. When you seek only what feels easy or rewarding in the short term, discipline weakens and purpose fades. Stoic philosophy teaches the opposite, to embrace challenge as a tool for growth. Sacrifice is not punishment, it is preparation. Patience is not waiting idly, it is training the mind to endure. Self-control is not restriction, it is freedom, the freedom to act according to principle rather than impulse. In embracing these struggles voluntarily, you take ownership of your life rather than surrendering it to circumstance. Character emerges quietly, far from recognition or applause. It grows in the unseen hours of dedication, the silent repetition of effort, and the deliberate choice to persist when it would be easier to stop. Those who chase comfort may live without difficulty, but they rarely grow beyond their limitations. Stoics understood that life's deepest rewards are never found in ease, they are found in mastery. Mastery of self, mastery of choices, and mastery of the mind in moments when surrender feels tempting, yet you persist anyway. This is where true resilience, wisdom, and unshakable strength are born. One day, the results of your quiet effort will speak louder than any words ever could. People will notice your strength, your calm presence, and the steady discipline that guides your life. They may wonder how you transformed so seamlessly, how you became someone unshaken by chaos, untempted by shortcuts, and unbothered by the noise of the world. And when they ask, you will realize that there is little to explain, because the path was simple, yet profoundly disciplined. The answer lies in the daily choices that no one saw. You woke up early when the world was still asleep, claiming the first hours of the day for yourself. You spoke less, conserving energy and sharpening your mind instead of scattering it on approval or attention. You trained hard, pushing past pain and fatigue to teach your mind endurance alongside your body. And you stayed unknown, letting growth happen in silence, away from validation, away from comparison, away from distraction. It is in these quiet, deliberate actions that transformation occurs. The discipline you built in solitude becomes unstoppable, forming a foundation that cannot be shaken by criticism, envy, or circumstance. Your life begins to move with purpose, guided by principle rather than performance. And when others finally notice, it is not because you sought attention, it is because you became the living proof of what consistent effort, humility, and self-mastery can create. Are you ready to build a life so disciplined that it no longer sways with opinions, praise, or approval? A life where your actions are guided by principle, not by applause. Imagine waking up each day with purpose, moving through challenges with calm, and letting your results speak for themselves, quietly, consistently, and powerfully. This is not a life of ease, it is a life of mastery, where every choice strengthens your mind, sharpens your focus, and fortifies your character. Discipline becomes your compass. You no longer chase recognition because your standards are internal. Early mornings, hard training, silent effort, and staying unknown are not sacrifices, they are investments in the strongest version of yourself. Pain becomes a teacher, struggle becomes growth, and consistency becomes unstoppable momentum. The question is simple, but the answer transforms everything. Will you choose comfort, or will you choose mastery? Will you keep seeking approval, or will you craft a life where your strength, calm, and clarity are undeniable, without needing anyone to notice? This is the path of the Stoics, and it begins with the choices you make today. Discipline is silent, but its results echo for a lifetime. Every quiet choice, every early morning, every effort made when no one is watching compounds into a force that cannot be ignored. It does not demand applause, yet it leaves a mark that lasts far longer than temporary recognition. True power is built in these unseen moments, strength forged in patience, wisdom shaped in silence, and resilience cultivated through consistent action. When discipline becomes your way of life, the world eventually takes notice. Not because you announced it, but because results cannot be hidden. Your calm, your focus, and your unwavering consistency speak louder than any words ever could. This is the echo of silent effort, invisible in the moment, undeniable in its impact, and timeless in its influence. If you found value in this content, please like the video, follow, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Your support helps this message reach more people who need it and allows us to continue creating content that inspires discipline, growth, and self-mastery. Every interaction amplifies the impact. Thank you for being part of this journey.